Well, this week we're going to focus on several more destinations on the money map. At Destination 2, you're going to snowball your plastic. And here's what I mean by that. Make the minimum payments on all your credit cards, but just be laser focused on paying off the one with the lowest balance first. Now, the reason for paying off the lowest balance first is that it could be just hard getting out of debt. You know the feeling, don't you? We all need to be encouraged by wiping out that very first debt. It also frees up the cash you were paying on it so that you can apply it to the credit card with the second lowest balance. After it's paid off, apply what you were paying on the first and the second card to the one with the third lowest balance. That's the snowball in action. You're also going to use that snowball approach in paying off all of your consumer debts. Let's face it. One of the biggest areas of tension married couples face is stress caused by debt. You may have experienced that when you listed your debts this last week. So I want to encourage you. No, that's really not strong enough. I want to challenge you. Establish the goal of becoming completely debt-free, even to include your mortgage if you own a home. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's a nice dream, but it's really only a pipe dream. But you know, by God's grace, it's achievable. And tens of thousands of people who've learned God's way of handling money are now totally debt-free. Proverbs 22:7 tells us the borrower is servant to the lender. And I'm convinced of this. The Lord wants you free of debt so you can serve Him rather than the lender. Now, a key factor in becoming debt-free is to make really smart lifestyle and spending decisions. This is so important because, as you well know, we live in the biggest consumer nation the world has ever known. So Bev and I made a few once-and-for-all decisions, and they really helped us. First, we decided that once we got out of debt, by God's grace, we would never go back in it. Then we decided we'd buy used cars and drive them till the wheels fell off. Bev drove Puff for 17 long years. We called it Puff because of the puff of smoke that came out of the exhaust whenever she accelerated. And her willingness to drive Puff saved us tens of thousands of dollars, and it was really a key in us reaching true financial freedom. And I pray you're going to make some similar once-and-for-all decisions, so you can become debt-free and enjoy more financial health and even peace in your marriage.
I remember being in debt, and all my mental downtime went to how are we going to pay off this debt? It's just a huge mountain. I was working extra jobs. Colleen was working extra jobs. So not only our physical time went to extra jobs in order to pay down the debt, but my mental time was there also. So I just remember writing or paying that last bill online. I'll never forget that day. And since then, it has been it's been awesome just to have that mental freedom, to have our time back where I don't have to work extra. And now we live on 50% of what I bring home. So during that, it took us 7 years to get out of debt. We learned how to cut our expenses and to live on 50% of our income. And so there's just a really big surplus, and to have that to save, to give, to tithe has been awesome.
Now that I get to stay home and I see that Doug doesn't really stress about working extra or making ends meet, that he is really happy that he can go to work and come home and spend time with us, and that I don't have to worry about him stressing, it makes our time together so much fun because we're really in the moment. We're able to just sit on the floor for an hour or two with our daughter. We're able just to go to the park. He even talks about sometimes like working less hours, and that's a realistic thing for us to be able to do. And we're still able to give on top of what we thought we would be able to give. I mean, I can shop. I don't feel guilty about going out and shopping. That is freeing. I mean, there's so many things that I want to get for my daughter, bows for her hair, dress, so it's nice that we don't have the debt, and we can still have a nice nice lifestyle and give back to God some of what He's given to us.
Well, I guess going back to how work was important and how I applied that particular application or that particular tool of the study is that, again, I did not realize that the skill that I have, and I am a nurse, so taking care of patients, it's a skill that God gave me. And I never really looked at it that way. I always just thought it was something I learned, something I knew. You know, I went to school for this, but it's a skill that God gave me. It's a way of touching people. It's a way of expressing God's love. And I just never looked at it that way.
I just prayed really hard. I just said, God, we made mistakes. We want to clean them up. And we can't do that without more money. So we're going to work as hard as we can. We're going to trust you. And we're going to do our tithing. And we're going to live by faith. And that was hard to stroke that 10% check every month and not know if we're going to be able to buy groceries the next month. And we just went on and did it anyway.
At that time in our lives, I think I felt more like we were roommates than we were married, because he was gone all the time. And then when he was, because the restaurant job, he's there till like midnight some nights. And then I was up in the morning really early, gone. So we never saw each other. We never had time for each other. But we just powered on through it.
I really got involved and kind of rolled up my sleeves and got in with both feet and got some better licenses than I had for my job, and got some new clients, and just started hitting it as hard as I could all the time, every day. And I remember waking up day after day and being like, I've got this huge list of things I need to get done today. I've got to be at the restaurant by 5. I have this list of bills and I have this much money. And I don't know how I'm going to get through this day, but I'm going to hit it as hard as I can, and I'm going to get up tomorrow and I'm going to hit it as hard as I can, and I'm going to do it again and again and again. Part of the struggle for me was the amount of work that I let go, because it wasn't, there's a lack of ethics in my industry, and there was just a lot of bad work being offered, kind of dangled in front of me. And I lost a lot of clients because I wouldn't compromise. And now the majority of my business comes in because I've built a reputation as being someone with integrity and as being someone who's accurate and honest. And so in the long term, it was actually a blessing, despite how difficult it made things at that time.
That is so encouraging. Now, let me remind you that the study has been designed for the facilitators to lead the first 2 or 3 weeks, and then some of the other participants to lead the rest of the weeks. The reason we do this is so everyone can learn that it's not difficult at all to lead the study. It's our hope that many of you will facilitate your own groups in the future.